Welcome to our morning show visit today on WRCO. Also, welcome in December. How can that be? We've got some great shows coming up here during the last month of 2025. Joining us for his monthly visit, his last visit of the year, is Mayor Todd Coppernoll from the city of Richland Center. Good morning, Mayor Todd.
Hey, Phil, how you doing?
I am doing fine. How about that snow over the weekend?
Boy, go figure. I don't remember the last time. I honestly don't remember the last year we got a snowfall of that volume this early in the season. It's been a long time. It was pretty common when you and I were kids, but it isn't now. And that came down when I was an older person in 2019. I chaired the Public Safety Committee, and we advanced to the council an idea to shorten the length of the alternate side parking that was in effect in the city. I think it had initially been adopted in 1986, and it started November 1st. I think it actually ran until April 15th for years and years. And when I got in there in 19, we talked about it. All it was doing is bringing complaints because it never snowed in November. It didn't snow as much in April or even March. So we shortened it to December 1st through the end of March or through the end of February. We cut it way down to 3 months. And until this weekend, we'd never had an issue once. Yeah, since 2019, it had never happened. And this time we missed by about 48 hours because alternate side parking, so that nobody forgets this, went into effect December 1st, which it is. So we're there. But that was the first time in whatever that is, 6 years, that we'd had a snowfall like that prior to December 1st, and barely that. But I know my neighbors were complaining about clearing it, and then the cold, and so we've already started our winter weather conversations a little quicker than recent years.
There was a snow emergency, though.
Yeah, that's what we did. So the reason the council in 2019 felt confident in going with December 1st through the end of February was, number one, we weren't having a lot of snowfalls before or after and haven't since. But the other reason is you still have the right, the city can reserve and did, the right to declare a snow emergency. So if you do get a snowfall, you can just tell people, get into a municipal parking lot, work something out with a neighbor to get in their driveway. And, it really hasn't been much of an issue. And this weekend, people seem pretty cooperative. Folks understand you can't clear the streets if people are parked all over the place. So it went pretty well.
Unfortunately, it was right in the heart of small business Saturday, and some were open, but some had to close. And hopefully, people will remember them not just Saturday, but the whole month. Right?
I certainly hope that's true. That people get out and support our local businesses because that was really unfortunate timing for that, for sure. And I watched all the closings coming through. Tim Thied letting everybody know who wasn't open and what events, and there were a lot of other things too. This club and that event and the Rotary lights shut down and all of that. But I guess that's what you do in the Midwest when a storm comes through, right?
Batten down the hatches, right?
Yeah.
And speaking of Rotary lights, they're open again.
They are. I haven't been yet. I will be out this week. Such a great event, and just more and more people all the time going through and viewing, but also participating. I don't know where you could wedge another tree in there. Keith will probably find a place, but it's an amazing event and a lot of great volunteers that deserve all the credit they get. And we're pulling people from all over the place. I don't think most people understand. If you never worked it as a volunteer and stood there with a clipboard and asked the people where they were from, you wouldn't understand. These folks are coming from all over the place for that event. It's a big deal for Richland Center, and I encourage everybody who can hear me to visit the Rotary lights in the park this season.
It could be argued that's one of the bigger events of the year in terms of bringing people in.
It absolutely has become that, and it runs, it's Thanksgiving to New Year's, so you get about 6 weeks of traffic in town, and when you talk to the folks, you do get, Richland Center, Boaz, Cazenovia, but you'll hear Reedsburg, Boscobel, Cross Plains, even places like Madison and La Crosse, or family members that were visiting somebody in Southwest Wisconsin and heard about it and came over. And those are people that otherwise were not coming to this city. So that's a big deal to bring more people in, and they're here for the lights, and they should be, and for the spirit of the season, and they should be. But don't forget that the volunteers they're talking to, it might be Chamber of Commerce, City Council, one club or the other, or it could be, business owners, people like that. And so they're meeting our people, and also as they roll through or walk through and they see the signs, they're being exposed to a lot of memories, people that passed. And I know they're taking home They're memories of the visual lights, and they should be. But don't forget that a lot of businesses are represented there too. And if you're here from someplace else and you didn't know about us so much, you're being exposed to what we do and what we offer here. So the point of it is a good time and the holiday spirit. But there are other benefits to that event as well.
Also making news in the city, Panorama Estates. What's up with that?
Well, they've started building too, and I'm excited about it. I've been up on that site many times, met with the soil engineer. I met with the banker that they are using. I met with Dwayne and Justin Kleinsasser on site, the excavators, several people up there. And they've started on building two. I don't know for sure when it will be done. I just don't know that yet, but they have begun. That one will be 46 units up there, and we're all very excited about that. Myself, the city council, the city staff have had to do a lot of work on that one. As the builder has, just things got crazy with COVID, building costs went where they did, et cetera, et cetera. So we hit delays no one wanted. There was aggravation, I think, on all parts getting here, but we are here. And that's a very big deal. If you drive up there, you'll see it right away. As you're headed up the hill, it's on the right this time for building two, and they're going.
Mm-hmm. That's what I've heard. And then there's building three, right? Aren't they building them simultaneously?
They will be. They haven't started building three yet. It's not exactly the same date, but they will be building them simultaneously with a lag between them because you need time to get the foundation in and so on. But yes, the intent is still for building three as well.
All right. Story Field. We talked about that each time you've been on here the last few months.
Yeah.
What's the latest on that?
Well, the property has been sold by the city to the developer, which was approved October 7th. At the city council meeting, the council voted on that and voted in favor. And so the language of the ordinance, which is, I believe, still available online on the city website, if you look in the packet that the alderpersons and myself were using that night, find in the meetings and agendas, find the October 7th council meeting and click on the packet. I believe that's still available online. And what that ordinance did is it authorized the sale of the property to build 8 duplexes on it, and then directed the city administrator to execute the developer's agreement with the developer. And so what happened there, the council voted that. The administrator did what she should have, reading state statute, conferring with the city attorney. She then referred that ordinance to the Plan Commission for review, just make sure it did not conflict with things like city comprehensive plans, city land use map, zoning, things like that. It didn't. It was sent back to her, so Ashley got a hold of the developer. They signed the developer's agreement, which is a binding contract between the developer and the city. And just the short version is then now the buyer and the city both have enforceable rights. It's a contract. And from that point, then she had done her job. That's Ashley Oliphant, the administrator, as directed by the council. So then the city attorney then is compelled to draft the deed and the transfer, which he did, and that meant that myself and the administrator were compelled to sign it. To not do so, I talked to the city attorney about that, and he actually explained a legal term to me I'd never heard, which you can look up for yourself. It's called a writ of mandamus. Go ahead and look that up. I was just asking, what if I don't sign that right away? And the answer is you will. Because if you don't, you're not upholding the law, because the legislative decision-making body for the city, which is the city council, did their job and did this thing. And I did not exercise my veto power because I know people have heard me by now. I think this project should happen. And from that point, the administrator did her job, the attorney did his job, and then the deed was conveyed and has been registered at the Register of Deeds. So Storyfield at this point is private property, and we'll go from here. It's winter now. I don't expect any construction up there, this season. I don't know exactly when it'll be, but I would think June, even July, something like that, before you see that kind of thing going on. The property will have to be surveyed. The new development needs to be platted, lot lines established, things of that nature, before we get to any building up there. But a couple points I want the public to hear and understand. The first one is there going to be a green space? Yes, there is. And if you watched or attended the meeting where the council approved this sale, that was clearly stated. And so what we did to make this clean and easy for the developer to do the work that now must come, the surveying, the platting, etc., is the entire property was conveyed to the developer right now. At this moment, they own it. However, in the language in the developer's agreement, which is enforceable, it states that they will convey the new street that they're paying for and the green space back to the city. So there could be some confusion that the city moved on and didn't do a green space. That's not accurate. There is a temporary space here, time here, where the developer owns the entire property to do the work they have to do, and then they will convey the green space and the street back to the city. So if you didn't read that developer's agreement or hear that language, it could confuse you. That's the intent is absolutely to have the green space that was discussed when the sale was voted on by the city or by the council. Okay, the other thing, city attorney just made a simple mistake when he prepared the deed and erroneously included a lot that's on the other side of Chestnut Street in the transfer. So that was simply an accident, and as soon as we became aware that that had been included by mistake, we corrected it. So if you hear somebody tell you we included land that wasn't even discussed or that we gave up something on the other side of Chestnut Street, no, we didn't. It was just a mistake. Attorney Wendell just added one too many lots in the description, and we've since corrected it. And the deed was filed correctly, so that property across Chestnut Street still belongs to the city.
The sign came down, right?
Yeah, good point. So Jason Glassbrenner, who is the director of Public Works, directed city staff to take down the Story Field sign, and that's his right, that's his actually authority to do that. He didn't tell me he was doing that. And so I caught a little bit by surprise, but when I talked to him, I understand completely why he did it, which was not to be rid of it or damage it or anything like that. It was strictly to protect that sign because that property now belongs to someone else. So to make sure it wasn't damaged, it mistakenly discarded or something, he had it taken down. It is safe. It is inside an enclosed storage building inside a locked fence, one that the city owns. Nothing has happened to the sign. It will. What happens to it will be discussed in the future, whether it goes back up on the green space the city will own, whether the Story family wants to own it. We don't know that part yet, but to make sure nothing happened to the sign, Jason had city staff remove it and put it in safe storage where it is.
What about the green space? Is it available this year for use then, or is that not?
Right now, and this is just a moment in time, that's up to the owner. Because, so think of it this way. When the Aquatic Center got approved, the old pool had already been removed. Well, they had to build the Aquatic Center. So for one summer, we didn't have an outdoor pool because they were building the Aquatic Center, and the other pool had been removed to make way for the Aquatic Center. In this case, it would be strictly up to the private owner now to decide what's okay on land they currently own. Now, once that green space is conveyed back to the city, then the city council will absolutely have the authority and ability to decide what happens on that green space. That's how that works. So I can't answer that because right now the city doesn't own the space. Okay, but there will be a green, we've said it several times, there will be a green space, and, my hope, I won't be the mayor by the time all of this gets done, but I certainly have made myself clear that I wanted a green space, and I wanted a significant green space, and then wherever it could be done, however it could be done, that we should try to preserve a sled hill up there for the kids in the neighborhood. So that, I've said that more than once. The city council will have that authority to decide that on that green space once that land has been conveyed back to the city.
Oh, will this be talked about at the city council meeting tomorrow then, in terms of where you go next?
Yeah, I expect Attorney Wendell to provide a much better overview of all this than I'm doing right now. That's honestly, some of this is his job to do. And so he will be tomorrow night to myself, to the council, and to the public, just so everybody has a clear understanding. It is what it was said what was stated to be. 8 new duplexes on a cul-de-sac, significant green space that the city will own and maintain, or to own, actually, they're going to help us maintain it. And then, obviously, to build that, you don't need as much room as it has in the first place. You got to leave water runoff and all that. So I think people will be happy with how much open green area there still is. And then from there, the city will own part of that, and the private ownership will own part of that. The city will have control of what happens on the piece we own. They will have control on what happens on what they own.
You know, I can relate to people, not only this project, but other things that have happened in the city during your time as mayor, because I don't like change.
Right, yeah.
I really don't. And I think a lot of us are like that. And we've had some things change over the last 5 or 6 years.
Yeah, I'm like that too. And this has been a really interesting thing. Somehow we have some people who are for this and some people who are against this who absolutely believe a majority agrees with them. And it can't be both ways. But what we've gotten into, I don't know what's feeding that. If it's the smartphones, the social media, or exactly what it is. I think people listen to, more than anything, people who agree with them and get fed more of that and believe that more and more because of it. And I've had people tell me, you know, I hate this. This is terrible. I've had other people tell me, whatever you do, make sure it gets done. And if this doesn't happen, you do understand a completely different group of people will be just as angry as anyone who doesn't like. And honestly, that is the truth right there, is that opinions on this one are very split and deeply emotional for a lot of people in both directions. What I've said several times, I will repeat, is that I have a lot of the same feelings. I grew up here too. I was on the cross-country team all 4 years in high school. God knows how many practices on that track. I have friendships to this day that started on that property because of that. A lot of gym classes up there, memories all over the place. I have full respect for the history of the property and also for the Story family and the legacy of their father's legacy. And so for me, none of my opinion on what should happen is based on, you know, not wanting Storyfield to be Storyfield that we knew and remembered and loved, or not wanting green space or any of that stuff. It's 100% based on the city's needs, and the elected people are there to make the best decisions that we can with the information we have, and it is our responsibility to really try to make the best decisions based on what's in the best interest of the city. No matter what you're doing, there will be multiple opinions, and you will not escape it. And so the last thing anyone should ever want are elected people who try to stay in office. I don't want to make a hard choice. Someone might not like me and they might vote for someone else. Well, then nothing gets done. Or worse, bad things get done, unproductive things get done. You can't have that. You just can't. And we're in a situation right now the people need to pay more attention to. Just getting right to it. Richland County, Crawford County, most of the Driftless region, honestly, but strictly Richland County, which means Richland Center, the demographic projections for the next 20 to 40 years are absolutely frightening. We're talking about over the next 20, 25 years, you losing on average 1% of the county's population per year. And I just told you that's 20 to 25% population decline. Think about it. Oh my God. That's not my opinion. That came to us from the state. And if you think I'm the only one who knows it, last spring, the city and county were flat out warned to our faces by one of our largest employers in this city. They had the same demographic projections. They showed them to us on a PowerPoint. And they said, we need to see investment from this city and this county so we know why we should continue to invest here. And I'm not, get mad at whoever you want, I'm not going to look out the window while hundreds of jobs in this city are at risk, real risk, because of what the demographics say. And you may say, but Mayor Todd, that won't happen. Really? Can you do the simplest of math? Think it over. How many people are over age 50 in this county? And what's the birth rate?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, you don't need me to say any more than that. Look around. Why have so many schools been discarded? Because we don't need them. Why were they built? Because we did need them. What does that tell you? A lot fewer kids. Okay, so the consolidation into the buildings. Know this too. Right now in Madison, I think it's 6 different bills are being debated at the state assembly that would deal with school district consolidations. That some of them would offer state aid to help pay for the costs associated with school district consolidations. 5, 6 bills. So if you think this isn't real, hey, please come to some more meetings. Please ask questions when you get a chance to talk to Tony Kurtz, Sarah Kieski. If you live in a different district, Travis Tranel, Howard Markline, tell them how you feel and ask them what they see. Ask the school district administrators. Ask Dave Turk or Trish Clements down at Richland County what it's like trying to balance a budget right now. Because every time we lose people, we lose state aid. You understand that? That means the money the county has to pay the bills got smaller year over year this year. Richland County got less state aid than it got last year. In this era of inflation, what's happened now is what you must pay for got much more expensive, and they sent you less money because you have a smaller census, you have less people, and that knocks money out the door. That's terrifying, or should be. But see, here's the thing: if we take action now, we can maybe change that trend, or at least soften the loss. That's why, among the reasons, I've talked about net new construction so many times. I have people in town coming up to me saying it to me now. Good. Never forget what it means. And if you don't know, please find out. Okay. If you don't know what expenditure restraint program means in the state budget process, please find out. You'll start to learn what cities and counties are dealing with, and school districts and townships too, villages, all of us. So you get into where we've gone, and you say, what can we do? You got to get new construction, guys. That's what the state has prescribed. You got to get construction. What does that do? Well, the first thing is those are taxable buildings. So the property tax that comes in from those buildings helps feed the city, the county, and the school district and Southwest Tech. If you live in the city and you pay property tax, you're supporting all 4 of those entities with your tax dollars. So a new structure, taxable, or even adding another bedroom, another garage, or a deck on the house, anything like that, increases the revenue coming in that helps pay the bills. What does that do? It helps us keep the things we currently offer. You want more parks? How about if we don't lose the ones we have? That's reality. That's reality. Richland Center has a lot of parks and a lot of trails, and we love them. Everybody involved wants every one of them, but they're expensive. You got to maintain things, insure things. When things break, you got to replace things, and it runs into money. Okay, and then you say, geez, inflation ran at 8% 2 years in a row. Whoa, where's all the money? Oh, wait a minute, state aid for this thing or that thing got cut because there's not as much traffic on your roads or not as many kids in your schools or whatever. So what do you get? You get another referendum, or you get another speech. Hey, we got to cut this. Sorry. Well, that's what new construction's for. 2 things. You get 3 things. 1, taxable property, more tax revenue. 2, net new construction. It affects the levy amounts that cities and counties can even use to have enough money, to have any new money to pay the bills. And 3, why residential construction? So you can get more people in here. I just told you why. We're losing them. And it's just through aging. That's all it is. It's just we've got a lot more older people than prior generations here had living in the county. And the birth rate, it isn't just here. Look around. Everywhere. There's just so few babies compared to what used to be. Just do the math. If you don't want to hear it from me, call the hospital administrator, call the school district administrator, call the plant manager at any of the largest employers in town, and ask them, average age of your employees, ask them what the demographic projections look like in 10 or 15 years, and you will hear fear, and you will hear concern, because they don't know where they'll get the talent to replace the people who are projected to retire, who are 50, 55, 60, 65 years old now. Okay, so what we did a couple of times, you see it, Panorama, Story Field, you see these things, new construction, residential construction, go get people, grow the tax base. That's why. We just adopted the new city budget for 2026 this week. 0 members of the public attended the open meeting that had been publicly noticed. Not one to ask any questions at all. Not one. But we did it because that's our job. And it was hard. It's hard. Some things are being affected that we don't want to do. but you got as many dollars as you have. And so the council did its job. The city administrator and the city financial, Misty and Ashley, let's just be people. Misty and Ashley did a great job. The city council and the finance committee did a great job. And we got the budget approved, okay? But it was hard. It was very hard. Last year and this year, inflation did what it did. You know what? We got to sign a new ambulance agreement. It's a lot more money than it was. New police contract went in. It's a lot more money than it was. Anything else you have to buy. Anything you have to buy, for the streets or the parks or anything. It's a lot more money than it was. And I just told you, if your population declines, if your traffic on roads declines, you start to get, state aid gets chipped away a little bit at a time while your costs are increasing, and it really causes a bind. And it's become a problem at the city, and for years already was a problem at Richland County. And I hope when Dave Turk comes down here, he articulates exactly what they have their hands on. But I want to, on the positive though, we've been doing something about it. That's why you see the new construction. And Jason Glassbrenner and I did attend, the most recent meeting of the county's campus configuration committee. We were invited. I had talked to Dave, and I said, I'd like to come. He said, I'd like to have you. So we reintroduced a plan that had been proposed about 2021 that would allow or provide for 18 single-family houses to be built on the campus property. Now, this would be behind the buildings that are there, so on the hill, but not way up on the steep part, kind of, because you get too high, you can't get adequate water pressure up there. Okay, so you can't build at the top, and besides which, I think people would like to keep those trees and that wooded top of that hill. But if this gets done, and it's very early, but I will say I thought the folks at the county were receptive and very attentive. I thought it was an extremely positive meeting. If this, for instance, this plan were to be adopted, basically run a street off Hive Drive, which is a city street, sort of behind the trees out there, over toward where the buildings are, and build as many as 18 single-family homes back in there. And I would love to see that. I think it's a great opportunity for the city and the county to maybe collaborate and get done what we need to get done. If you think about it, apartments coming, duplexes coming, you get some single-family houses coming, and we have definitely checked that box. And it took years, just crazy effort to get here. And, people will say, well, why now or why there? Man, it wasn't overnight. We found minutes. We went looking. I couldn't remember exactly when I knew the Story Field thing had come up. I wasn't even mayor yet. Mike Kaufman was. We found the minutes. It was January 2020. I was an older person then. And Mr. Kaufman, as mayor, had actually appointed a subcommittee to look at the possibility of putting homes on Story Field if we owned it. So discussions had started between the schools and the city that long ago, at least, about that. And it took this long to get here on that one. Panorama, they signed that agreement in 2018, 17 or 18. And, according to the agreement, they had time to get the buildings up. But Building 2 should have been up by now. We're there now. The campus property, there's a lot in that one. We all know that. A lot of emotion there, too. Fully understood. Got it. Share that, too. Attended the campus. One of 10 in my family who did. But we tried to do this in 2021, and we got shouted out of the room. That's just a fact. And so now we're back trying to do that again. Different conditions, fully understood. The campus was functioning then, and it would have been harder to do then because, for one thing, that land was in a lease with the Board of Regents. You can't just do that. You would have needed consent from the county, from Platteville, from Madison. It was a mess, and there were people that loved the campus that were afraid of it. Honestly, that it might give the wrong impression to Platteville or Madison that the city was trying to do something other than the campus. So it didn't happen then. Well, we're here now. And if we can get that done, then we can go on to other things. And whoever is elected mayor in April and whoever comprises the city council in April, they'll have their hands full too, because the budget stuff only gets harder. I'm being honest. The budget stuff doesn't get easier next year. It gets harder. Okay, understand that? I'm trying to tell everybody. I've been trying to tell everybody for a couple of years the budget stuff's a lot harder than it used to be. Next year is going to be tougher than this year, and if something doesn't turn, the year after that, it's going to be tougher than that. Don't kid yourself. Do not kid yourself. There's not enough money. There's not enough money. Cities, schools, or counties, don't believe otherwise. The challenge is real. We got to build. We got to grow. We live in a place that's an hour from a city, an hour from the interstate. Organic growth doesn't show up and beg us for a place. We got to be aggressive. Go find it and do it when we can. We have to. We have to if you want a financial future. I hope you're listening to me, Richland County. Every corner, Richland County, hear me. You want a financial future, you better wake up. You want a financial future, Richland Center. You want a financial future, Richland County. Do you hear me? The state laws are what the state laws are. The city, the county, the townships, the villages have to abide by those laws. That just makes sense, right? And if you're in a small place, those laws stink. They stink on ice. They stink to high heaven, and we're in the middle of it. Richland Center's the only city in the small county. Look on the map. Every county that touches Richland County has a lot more land mass than we do. Every one of them has more than one city to rely on. We don't. We are an hour from Madison. We are an hour from La Crosse. We are an hour from the interstate. We have too much floodplain. We have too many non-taxable properties in our city because our city houses city buildings. It's the county seat and the only city, so it houses county buildings. We have a lot of churches. We have a lot of 501c3 nonprofit-owned properties here. Those are all good things, fine things. I am not telling you we don't want them or need them. I'm explaining to you that you live in a county and a city that has unique challenges. We have more floodplain than most, more non-taxable properties than most. We're further from the population's bases than a lot of our friends are. We don't have the flat buildable land. We have steep hills, okay? So you gotta understand, and you better understand yesterday. We have to work as one. We cannot fragment and fight with each other and say, don't do it, don't touch it, don't build it. You can't do that here. When you do that here, your city and your county stagnate. It has happened here in this community's past, and if you live here, you know that. If you've ever said, geez, 45 years ago, they could have had Land's End. They could have had this. They could have done that. Why didn't they? We are. And I hope you do too. And some of that is going to mean change. And some of that change is no fun, and it stinks. And it makes people mad and sad and everything else. And you better understand something. That the people that you all elected to make decisions on your behalf, which is how the system has always worked, they have the feelings you have. They're from the place you're from. What they have that you may not is the information that says, we got to go, guys. We got to go. It's yesterday's gone. Someday's already here. If you see a business in town that used to be open on Sunday and it's not now, why do you think that is? If you see a business in town that was open 7 nights a week, now it's only open 2. Why do you think that is? Because they're having trouble staffing. Why do you think that is? Less people in working age. Okay, it's not a tomorrow thing. We're in it. It just gets steeper if we don't do something. So thank you from the mayor to the city council, to the county board, to the school board at every school district in the county. Thank you for the brave, courageous individuals who put themselves out there, who ran for office and said, I will be part of this. I will help make the big choices, and who persevere and keep their eye on what is best for their people. Thank you to the elected ones who signed up and showed up.
Well, that's a good transition, Mayor Todd, because declaration of candidacy can start this month, or non-candidacy, and we need people to run, right?
We do. It's time. If you have an opinion, stop telling the wall. Don't show up afterwards and say, you guys stink. Put your name on a ballot. Let's go. Decisions have to be made. They're not always easy. They're not always fun. Some of them are. Some of it's great. Some of it's challenging. All of it's critical. So now, right now, if you live in the city of Richland Center and you want to run for council or mayor, you can go down to the city clerk's office and tell them that's what you want to do. They'll explain the process. You will leave with nomination papers. You circulate them, get the signatures you need to get yourself on the ballot. The election is in April. I have stated since May of last year that I would not be seeking a fourth term. I will not be seeking a fourth term. Again, thank you. Dozens of people in the last few weeks have reached out to me trying to convince me to change my mind. I'm hoping that I'd stay, and I'm just not. I'm just tired. I can't explain to you. I still love being the mayor. Bottom of my heart, I still have true passion to do it. But imagine if your car battery was on a low drain every day. I've been mayor 5.5 years. I will be 6 when I'm done in April, and I don't think anybody, I don't care who you are, should serve longer than 6 years. I will say right now, I think we should impose a 3-term term limit on the mayor. If you look at the city's history, I think there's 3 that ever did more than 3 terms anyway. And, starting in 1887, and there's still less than 10 in the entire history of the city that even did 3. And you can ask the ones who did. Go find Paul or Larry or Darlow. If you get out to Utah, Tom McCarthy's around. Ask them what happens and how worn down you get just because you care. And it's never gone from you. It doesn't matter. It's never gone from you. And, it's the other elected positions, too. Don't take it lightly. Don't do it because you think it's a good time, because that's not why you should be there. But you know what? If you have the passion, somebody has to make the choices. Okay? You have to do it. You're shaping the future of your hometown, guys. So I hope you do. I hope you do. I don't want a candidate. I want several. I want choices. How about a primary? I can't remember the last time there was even 2 candidates for a single city council seat in this town. I remember who it was. It was Chelsea Walters and Candace Fagerlin in District 2, whatever year that's about, 4 years ago or something like that by now. And there hasn't been a contested race in any district, the city council. We've got open county board seats all the time now, it seems. And I don't think the school board is, beating them off with a stick either. Mm-hmm. They've had better turnout lately, but you know what? I hope you'll do it. Being the mayor, there are moments when it drives you half crazy, but wow, is it worth it? Being on the city council, when you look back, and you realize what you did for your hometown, no matter who's mad at you today, no matter who's going to be mad at you next or who was 6 months ago, that just comes with it. Because most of those people come around later and say thanks for something else that they do agree with, or something they heard you say or you did. It's worth it. It's worth it. Get in there, guys. Get in there. Tomorrow needs you. You understand? It's a representative form of government. So it's not one person, one vote. One person, one vote is when you choose the people who will decide. It's like the U.S. Congress, the state assembly, city council, county board, like that. One person, one vote chooses the decision makers for you. And those people make the choice on your behalf. That's the whole point of this country, this state, this city, is that those people have that critical role, and that they come from the people to represent the people. When we said over 200 years ago, no taxation without representation, that led to this. That's what the representatives are there to do, to cast the vote on behalf of the people that elected them. So give yourself the opportunity to cast the vote. You can't do it if you don't run, and now's the time. You know where City Hall is. Get on down there if you live in town, and they'll tell you what to do. Get on a ballot. And if you do get on the ballot, come and see me. Call me, and I'll sit with you. And I'll tell you the best and the worst, and I'll tell you what the city's going to face next year. Try to get your head around all of this so that if you win the election, you don't walk in cold. Go for it, man. Richland Center and Richland County and the school districts need you now.
Mayor Todd Coppernoll, our guest on the morning show, will come back with a final word in just a moment. Our morning show studio today from WRCO Radio includes Mayor Todd Coppernoll from the city of Richland Center. Anything new on the hotel project?
Yeah, okay, so Cobblestone Hotels is definitely interested in the city of Richland Center, and they are currently seeking local investment. The way their business model works, they work with some locals together with their company to get this done, and we've got information who you can talk to get you in front of them if you might have interest or you know people who do. So would you please let me know if you do have interest or know someone who does. Contact information for me is on the city website, but the cell phone to call or text me is 608-604-5399. When they get the investment capital in place, I absolutely expect a 54-room hotel to be built on Orange Street across from the banquet hall at the Phoenix Center, and that's where we are. City is on board with it. The company is on board with it. Just need some additional capital, and their model says do that with local people. It's what they've done everywhere they've built. Look them up, Cobblestone, and I'm excited to see that one too. That's another one we've worked on for a couple of years. Hotel feasibility study was done. It showed we needed 54 rooms. Please contact Marty Richards. Marty, I know you're listening. He will tell you about the events this city has lost out on because we did not have adequate hotel space here, and we're trying to correct that to grow tourism here because, again, somebody who doesn't live here, who stays here, they're paying a room tax. Some of that stays with the city, or if it's in the township, with the township, so forth. Now you're fixing roads and things without another property tax increase. This is the point. They spend money here. They pay sales tax here. That goes to the county. There we go. That's what we're trying to do. So Cobblestone in. And then my last, unless you had something else, Phil, my last message to everybody is by the time I'm on the air again, it will be after the new year. So Merry Christmas and Happy New Year from the mayor to everyone out there. Winter won't last as long as you think. It'll feel like it, but it gets the same amount of time as the calendar as summer does. It just, we went from 50 degrees to snow in about a week this year. Welcome back to Wisconsin weather. But be good to each other. Really, be good to each other. I mean, that should always be true, no matter who you are or where you live. But understand that we really are a small city in a small county, and that we have to do for ourselves. You just have to understand it was always true. It probably always will be. We've got to be one as often as we can be, and we got to look out for all of us. So please be good to each other and help out when you can. If you have a good idea, don't be afraid to say so. I'm proud of my hometown and its people. I'm grateful and forever will be to the voters who put me in the mayor's office 3 times. And one more time, run for office, guys. Run for office. Come on. The system doesn't work if people don't sign up. Run for office. Pick it. City, county, township, schools. You pick what you're interested in and get yourself out there. Okay? Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Do you have goals for the last months of your mayorship?
Yes. I want to continue to educate our people on the issues that we're facing, because it became beyond obvious that just most of them just don't know, because in anyone's life, this really isn't meant as a criticism at all. In anybody's life, it doesn't come easy, man. We all have struggles and challenges and things we have to think about every day. How to pay the bills. Is my mom okay? Are my kids okay? I got to get to work. The car's not right. Name it. And so, you might not be paying attention to what's going on off to the sides sometimes. You don't mean to. It's just what your daily life demands from you. Except that we've got huge things off to the sides. Okay, we've got scary economic forecasts and scary demographic forecasts that we can still correct, but we have to do it. Okay, so I want to continue to educate our people and we'll look for collaboration opportunities with the county, with the schools. The school district owns the gym in Melville Hall at the campus now. That's wonderful. Simon's members will have access to that gymnasium now. That's wonderful. See, we can do it. See that? We didn't have to build another gym, did we? No. We had to keep talking to each other and figure it out. Ambulance, yeah, we're figuring that out too. And we'll sign a new agreement. I expect, it's in the council's hands or will be tomorrow, but I expect the city council to approve a 2026 ambulance agreement at tomorrow night's council meeting. I can't promise you that. I don't have a vote, but that's what I expect. And then we'll move on looking at a more long-term solution there and just keep doing that thing. In a community that can raise more than $400,000 in a single year for Grace, one local charity, I want you to keep in mind, in a community that can overflow the Rotary Parks ground with too many trees, that's who we really are. That's who this place is. And we might fight about one issue or another one in the day. That's fine. We're all just people, and people do that. But we come back together when we do that. We always have, and we always need to do that. So look for ways to be part of what happens here. Don't shut the door and stay home. It won't work here like that. Fortunately, we are populated by people who seem to understand that. So stay in the game, be part of things. Be proud of where you're from and work for its future. That's how it gets built, okay? So, one more time, start every day with a message of gratitude, not to somebody else. Wake up, put your feet on the floor, and just be glad you're alive. I got another day. What can I do with it? That's a great place to start. And then go from there. And when you leave the house, say hi to somebody, all right? Open the door. Hold the door and let them in. You know what? You can do that. We can do that. So get out, go to the Rotary Lights, run for office. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Mayor Todd Coppernoll from the city of Richland Center, our guest on today's morning show.